My name is Brian, I'm 34, and for 2 years I genuinely believed my wife was working late. 2 years of empty dinners, cold beds, and excuses I swallowed whole. Then one Tuesday night, our security camera caught something it wasn't supposed to. A silver Tesla in my driveway at 11:43 p.m. A man who wasn't me. A dress I'd never seen before. What did I find when I started digging? Wednesday nights. Every single one. 8 weeks straight. A VP named Eli Grant whose girlfriend was already picking out wedding venues. Within 48 hours, everything collapsed. 2 relationships. 1 career. 1 carefully constructed lie, gone. And Ashley? Olivia's best friend, the one who'd been covering for her every single week. She was sitting in a bar that night, completely relaxed, laughing, with absolutely no idea I was already walking through the door. Before we get into this, please take a moment to like and subscribe. But only if this story truly resonates with you. And drop your location and local time in the comments. I want to know where you are right now. The security system's soft chime at 2:47 a.m. should have been my first clue, but I was too busy staring at the ceiling, counting the reasons my marriage felt like a house built on quicksand. When Olivia finally stumbled through our front door at nearly 3 o'clock in the morning, reeking of expensive wine and someone else's cologne, I knew my sleepless nights were about to get a lot more interesting. "Brian, you awake?" Her voice carried that particular brand of fake sweetness she reserved for moments when she knew she was caught. I didn't answer. Instead, I listened to her heels click across our hardwood floors, the same floors I'd spent 3 weekends installing while she complained about the noise. The bathroom door closed with a soft thud, followed by the sound of running water, washing off the evidence, no doubt. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. A text from my sister Monica. "Saw Olivia at Meridian tonight. Thought you should know she wasn't alone." I rolled over and opened the home security app I'd installed 6 months ago. Olivia had mocked me for it then, calling it paranoid and controlling. Now, scrolling through the motion-triggered recordings, I understood why she'd been so opposed to the idea. There she was, 11:43 p.m., leaving through the garage in a dress I'd never seen before. The timestamp showed her returning at 2:47 a.m. But that wasn't what made my blood run cold. It was the pattern I discovered when I scrolled back through previous nights. Every Wednesday for the past 2 months, the same routine, dressed to kill, gone for hours, returning with that guilty look I'd been too trusting to recognize. The bathroom door opened and Olivia padded into our bedroom, trying to move quietly in the dark. She slipped under the covers, her skin still warm from whatever or whoever had kept her occupied for the past 3 hours. "Good conference dinner?" I asked, my voice cutting through the darkness. She froze. "Oh, you're awake." "Yes, it ran late. You know how these corporate things go." "I wouldn't know. I've never been invited to one." "Brian, please. It's late. Can we not do this now?" But I was already doing it. My mind was racing, connecting dots I'd been too blind to see. The new clothes appearing in her closet. The sudden interest in working late. The way she'd started showering immediately after coming home from client meetings, the credit card charges at restaurants I'd never been to during hours she claimed to be in budget meetings. I waited until her breathing evened out, then slipped out of bed and headed to my workshop in the garage. If Olivia thought she was playing chess while I was playing checkers, she was about to learn that I'd been studying the board a lot longer than she realized. The workshop was my sanctuary, a place where everything had its purpose and every tool served a function, unlike my marriage, apparently. I fired up my laptop and began digging deeper into our home security system. Olivia knew about the main cameras, the ones I'd showed her during installation. What she didn't know was that I'd installed a backup system triggered by the garage door opening after 1000 p.m. The footage was crystal clear. Olivia. Wednesday after Wednesday, meeting a man in the shadows of our driveway. They embraced like lovers, not colleagues. The man was tall, well-dressed, driving a silver Tesla Model S. I zoomed in on the license plate and ran it through a reverse lookup site. Eli Grant, Vice President of Strategic Development at Morrison & Associates, Olivia's company. My hands weren't shaking anymore. The initial shock had crystallized into something much more dangerous. Clarity. For months, I'd been questioning myself, wondering why I felt like a stranger in my own home. Now, I knew it wasn't paranoia or insecurity. It was intuition. I spent the next hour building a timeline. The affair had started around the time Olivia received her promotion to senior project manager. Eli Grant had been her direct supervisor. The math was simple, even if the betrayal was complex. By sunrise, I had a plan. Not the hot-headed, destructive kind that would land me in jail or divorce court as the bad guy. Something more elegant. Something that would give Olivia and her boyfriend exactly what they deserved, served on a silver platter in front of everyone who mattered to them. I made coffee and waited. When Olivia emerged from the bedroom at 7:30, perfectly put together as always, I was sitting at our kitchen island with 2 cups and a smile that probably looked more predatory than friendly. "You're up early," she said, eyeing me suspiciously. "Couldn't sleep. Kept thinking about your conference dinner last night. Must have been quite the networking opportunity." She poured cream into her coffee, avoiding my gaze. "It was productive. Eli thinks there might be some new opportunities opening up." Eli Grant, her hand stilled for just a moment. "You know Eli?" "Only by reputation. I hear he's quite the charmer." "He's professional," she said quickly. Too quickly. I nodded and took a sip of my coffee. "I'm sure he is. Very hands-on management style from what I've heard." Olivia's jaw tightened. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing at all. Just making conversation about your work. You know how interested I am in your career advancement." She grabbed her purse and headed for the door. "I'm going to be late. Have a good day at the office, honey. Tell Eli I said hello." The door slammed behind her, rattling the windows. I smiled and opened my laptop. Phase 1 was complete. Now, it was time to do some real research on Mr. Eli Grant, and find out exactly what kind of man my wife had chosen over me. What I discovered over the next few hours would have been amusing if it weren't so pathetic. Eli Grant wasn't just cheating with my wife. He was cheating on his girlfriend of 3 years, a woman named Jessica, who regularly posted photos of their perfect relationship on social media. He had a reputation at Morrison & Associates for inappropriate relationships with subordinates, but somehow always managed to avoid HR complaints. His Tesla was leased, not owned, and his expensive condo was mortgaged to the hilt. In short, Eli Grant was exactly the kind of man who would seduce another man's wife and think he was untouchable. He was about to learn otherwise. Monica's bar, the Rusty Anchor, wasn't the kind of place where Morrison & Associates executives typically spent their evenings. It was working-ass, honest, and served beer in bottles rather than craft cocktails with pretentious names, which made it perfect for what I had in mind. "You look like hell," Monica said when I walked in Thursday night. The bar was nearly empty except for a few regulars watching baseball on the mounted TV. "Feel worse than I look." I slumped onto a bar stool and accepted the beer she slid across the worn wooden surface. "But I'm working on a solution. Found out what Olivia's been up to." I filled her in on the previous night's discoveries, watching my sister's expression grow darker with each detail. Monica had never liked Olivia, claiming she was too polished for her own good. I'd always defended my wife, but now I wondered if Monica had seen something I'd missed. "So, what's the plan?" Monica asked when I finished. "Please tell me it involves public humiliation." "Better. It involves letting them humiliate themselves." I explained my research on Eli Grant, his pattern of workplace relationships, and his precarious financial situation. Monica listened with the attention of someone who'd spent 15 years bartending and had heard every variation of human stupidity. The girlfriend doesn't know, she asked. Jessica thinks they're planning to move in together. Her Instagram is full of couple photos and future plans. And Olivia doesn't know about Jessica. I doubt it. Eli's been very careful to keep his personal life separate from his office conquests. Monica grinned. This is going to be fun. Over the next hour, we refined the plan. Monica would use her network of service industry contacts to gather intelligence on Eli and Olivia's favorite meeting spots. I would continue monitoring their movements through the security system and start documenting everything for the grand finale. When do you want to make your move? Monica asked. Next Wednesday. They're creatures of habit, and I want to catch them in their routine. What about Olivia's friends, Ashley, and that crowd from her office? I've been thinking about that. Ashley Chen was Olivia's closest friend at Morrison & Associates, the kind of woman who thrived on other people's drama and had never liked me. She'd been encouraging Olivia's girls' nights out and networking events for months, probably knowing exactly what was really happening. Ashley's going to be a problem. I admitted. She'll try to warn them or spin the story to make me look like the villain. Leave Ashley to me, Monica said with a smile that reminded me why she'd been banned from 3 bars in our hometown. I have some ideas. The next few days passed in a strange state of suspended reality. Olivia continued her routine, work, gym, client dinners, while I played the role of oblivious husband. But every interaction felt like a chess match. Each of us maneuvering around the truth without acknowledging it directly. Friday morning, Olivia announced she'd be working late again. Another conference dinner? I asked innocently. Strategy meeting? We're pitching a new client next week with Eli. She paused and applying her lipstick among others. Well, good luck. I'm sure you'll make quite an impression. That evening, I followed them. Not close enough to be spotted, but near enough to confirm what I already knew. They went to Meridian, an upscale restaurant downtown, but they weren't discussing business strategies. Even from across the dining room, their body language screamed intimacy. Eli's hand covering hers on the table. Olivia leaning in close when she spoke. The kind of touches and glances that belong to lovers, not colleagues. I took photos with my phone's telephoto lens, then left before they finished their appetizers. I didn't need to see more. I had everything I needed for Wednesday night. Saturday brought an unexpected complication. Olivia announced that Ashley was hosting a dinner party and we were both invited. It's been too long since we socialized together, Olivia said, and I detected a note of challenge in her voice. Ashley specifically asked for you to come. I doubted that. Ashley had made her opinion of me clear on multiple occasions, usually through backhanded comments about my blue-collar background and lack of corporate ambition. But this could be an opportunity to observe the enemy camp. Sounds great, I said. I'll wear my good shirt. Olivia's smile was sharp. Perfect. Ashley's condo was everything I expected. Modern, expensive, and designed more for Instagram photos than actual living. The other guests were all from Morrison & Associates, junior executives, and their spouses, people who measured success by their job titles and lease payments. Brian, Ashley greeted me with fake enthusiasm. So wonderful to see you. How's the contracting business? Construction consulting, I corrected, though I knew she'd continue calling it contracting. Business is good. People always need someone who knows how to build things properly. How practical. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. The evening proceeded exactly as I'd anticipated. Conversations about quarterly reports and office politics peppered with subtle digs at anyone who didn't work in their corporate bubble. I nursed a single beer and listened, cataloging every comment and storing away information for future use. The most interesting moment came when someone mentioned Eli Grant's absence. He's in Boston this weekend, Ashley explained. Big client presentation on Monday. Olivia nodded along, but I caught the slight tightening around her eyes. Either she knew Eli was lying about Boston or she was disappointed that her lover was out of town. Either way, it was useful information. "Eli's such a dedicated professional," said Janet, one of the junior associates. "He's been working so many late nights lately." "Very dedicated," Olivia agreed. And I had to admire her poker face. As the evening wound down, Ashley cornered me in the kitchen while Olivia was in the bathroom. "You know, Brian, I worry about Olivia sometimes." "Oh, why is that?" "She's been under so much stress at work. All those late meetings and client dinners. I hope you're being supportive." The concern in her voice was about as genuine as a $3 bill, but I played along. "I try to be. Marriage is about supporting each other's ambitions, right?" "Exactly. And sometimes that means giving each other space to grow professionally." I nodded thoughtfully. Space is important. Too much oversight can be suffocating. Ashley smiled, apparently satisfied that she'd delivered her message. What she didn't realize was that she'd just confirmed my suspicions about her role in Olivia's affair. She wasn't just enabling it. She was actively providing cover. On the drive home, Olivia was unusually quiet. "Nice evening," I said. "Ashley's friends seem ambitious. They're good people, driven. They understand what it takes to succeed." "Unlike me," Olivia sighed. "I didn't say that. You didn't have to." We rode the rest of the way in silence, but I could feel her tension like a live wire. Something was building between us, and we both knew it. The only question was who would make the first move. As it turned out, I wouldn't have to wait long to find out. Wednesday arrived with the promise of rain and the certainty of revelation. I'd spent the previous 2 days fine-tuning my plan, gathering evidence, and preparing for every possible contingency. Monica had done her part, using her network to confirm Eli and Olivia's reservation at Meridian for 8 p.m. Everything was in place. At 6:30, Olivia emerged from our bedroom dressed in a black cocktail dress I'd never seen before. She looked stunning, which made the betrayal sting even more. "Another strategy meeting?" I asked from my position on the couch. "Client dinner. The Henderson account." "Ah, yes. Very important client, I'm sure." She paused at the mirror in our foyer, adjusting her earrings. "Brian, is there something you want to say to me?" This was it. The moment of truth. I could continue playing the oblivious husband, or I could force this confrontation into the open. I chose the latter. "Just that I hope you and Eli have a lovely evening." Her hand froze halfway to her ear. In the mirror, I watched her face cycle through surprise, fear, and finally anger. What's that supposed to mean? It means I know Olivia. I've known for weeks. She turned to face me and I saw her calculating her options. Deny everything, attack me as paranoid, try to flip the script and make me the villain. Know what exactly? I know about the Wednesday night dinners that aren't dinners. I know about Eli Grant and his silver Tesla. I know about the new dresses and the sudden interest in working late. I know about all of it. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then Olivia's mask slipped completely. "So what? You're going to what? Divorce me? Take half of everything and crawl back to your workshop to sulk?" The venom in her voice was startling. This wasn't the woman I'd married. Or maybe it was, and I'd just been too blind to see it. "I'm not going to do anything, Olivia. You've already done it all. You have no idea what you're talking about. Eli and I work together. We have legitimate business. At 2:47 a.m. in our driveway, that's some dedicated customer service." Her face flushed red. "You've been spying on me. I've been protecting our home. There's a difference. You're pathetic." She spat. "Do you know what Eli says about you? What everyone at the office says. They call you Olivia's handyman husband. They think it's hilarious that I married someone so ordinary. Each word was designed to cut, and they did. But I'd been preparing for this moment, and I had ammunition of my own. Is that what Eli told you? That I'm ordinary? He didn't have to tell me. I can see it for myself. I stood up slowly, pulling out my phone. Before you leave for your business dinner, there's something you should see. I showed her the photos I'd taken at Meridian. Her and Eli, hands intertwined, gazing into each other's eyes like teenagers in love. Delete those, she said immediately. I don't think so. But here's what's interesting. I did some research on your boyfriend. Did you know he has a girlfriend? Jessica Martinez. 3 years together. She's planning their future while he's planning his next conquest. Olivia's confidence wavered for the first time. That's not Eli said they broke up months ago. Check her Instagram. Posted a photo of them together yesterday with the caption, "Can't wait to start our new chapter together." Doesn't look very broken up to me. I watched the doubt creep into her eyes, but she recovered quickly. Even if that's true, it doesn't change anything between us. Our marriage has been over for years, Brian. We both know it. Maybe. But it's interesting that you chose to handle it by sneaking around instead of having an honest conversation. Would you have listened? Really, or would you have begged me to stay and promised to change? The accuracy of that assessment stung, but I kept my expression neutral. I guess we'll never know. Have a good dinner, Olivia. Tell Eli. I said hello. She stared at me for a long moment as if trying to figure out what game I was playing. Then she grabbed her purse and headed for the door. Don't wait up, she said. I wouldn't dream of it. After she left, I sat in the silence of our house and felt something I hadn't experienced in months. Relief. The pretense was over. The careful dancing around the truth had ended. Now we could move on to the next phase. I called Monica. She's gone. How are things on your end? Perfect. Ashley's here with 2 of her work friends getting nice and loose on overpriced cocktails. They've been talking about Olivia's situation for the past hour. What kind of talk? The kind where Ashley's playing matchmaker and the other 2 are placing bets on when you'll figure it out. Real classy bunch. Good. Let them drink. I'll be there in an hour. Brian, you sure about this? I've never been more sure of anything in my life. I spent the next hour preparing, shower, shave, and my best suit, the one I'd worn to our wedding. If this was going to be the end of my marriage, I wanted to look the part. The drive to the Rusty Anchor gave me time to think about what came next. In a few hours, Olivia and Eli would discover that their secret wasn't as secret as they'd believed. Ashley and her friends would learn that gossip was a two-way street, and I would finally stop being the punchline to someone else's joke. Monica was waiting when I arrived, her expression a mixture of anticipation and concern. Last chance to back out, she said. Not a chance. Is everything ready? Everything's ready. Ashley's group is in the back booth, nice and comfortable. Olivia and Eli should be finishing dinner about now. I checked my phone. 9:15 p.m. Right on schedule. Then let's give them all something to really talk about. The Rusty Anchor was busier than usual for a Wednesday night, which worked perfectly for my purposes. I needed an audience, but not so large that I'd lose control of the situation. Monica had arranged for Ashley and her friends to be seated in the back corner booth, isolated enough for privacy, but visible from the main bar area. There they are, Monica whispered, nodding toward the back of the room. Ashley sat with 2 other women I recognized from the dinner party. Janet, the junior associate who'd praised Eli's dedication, and Sarah, a marketing coordinator who'd spent most of Saturday night complaining about her student loans. They were deep in conversation, their voices carrying just enough for nearby tables to catch fragments. Y'all can't believe he hasn't figured it out yet. Eli says he's completely clueless. Honestly, It's kind of sad. I felt my jaw clench, but forced myself to stay calm. Anger would ruin everything I'd planned. You ready for this? Monica asked. More than ready. I walked over to their booth with a friendly smile, the kind I'd perfected during years of dealing with difficult clients. Ashley, what a surprise seeing you here. All three women looked up in shock. Ashley recovered first, her face cycling through surprise, guilt, and finally settling on fake friendliness. Brian, I didn't know you came to places like this. My sister owns the bar. Family loyalty, you know. I gestured toward Monica, who waved from behind the bar. Mind if I join you for a minute? I was hoping to get some advice. The three women exchanged glances, but Ashley nodded toward the empty space next to Sarah. Of course. What kind of advice? I slid into the booth, noting how they all seemed to lean away from me slightly. Well, it's about Olivia. I'm planning a surprise for our anniversary next month, and I wanted to make sure I didn't conflict with any of her work commitments. That's sweet, Janet said carefully. I was thinking of surprising her at one of those client dinners she's always attending. You know, show up with flowers, make a romantic gesture. Women love that kind of thing, right? Ashley's smile became strained. Brian, I don't think I mean, take tonight for example. She's at another client dinner with Eli Grant. The Henderson account, she said, I was thinking of stopping by Meridian around 10 o'clock, right when they're finishing up. Surprise her with roses and maybe meet this Eli guy she's always talking about. The color drained from Ashley's face. You shouldn't do that. Why not? It would be romantic, wouldn't it? Business dinners are professional. You might embarrass her. Embarrass her? How? By showing affection for my wife in public. Sarah jumped in, clearly uncomfortable. Maybe you should surprise her at home instead. More intimate. But she's never home anymore. Always working late, always at client dinners. Sometimes I feel like I barely know what's going on in her life. I let that hang in the air, watching them squirm. Janet was staring into her drink like it might provide an escape route. Sarah kept glancing toward the exit. Ashley was trying to maintain her composure, but I could see the panic in her eyes. You know what? I continued. Maybe I should call Eli directly, get his opinion on the surprise. I'm sure he'd be happy to help me plan something special for Olivia. No, Ashley said quickly. I mean, you shouldn't bother him. He's very busy with work. Too busy to take a quick call from his colleague's husband. That seems odd. Monica appeared at our table with a fresh round of drinks. Everything okay over here? Just getting some advice from Olivia's friends, I said. They're being very helpful. Monica sat down the drinks and lingered, clearly enjoying the show. That's nice. Olivia's lucky to have such caring friends. They really are. In fact, Ashley was just telling me how much she knows about Olivia's work schedule. Isn't that right, Ashley? Ashley's laugh was forced. I wouldn't say I know everything, but you know about the client dinners, the late meetings, the networking events, some of them, sure, and you think they're all legitimate business. The question hung in the air like a challenge. Ashley's eyes darted to her friends, looking for support, but Janet and Sarah were suddenly very interested in their drinks. Of course, they're legitimate. Olivia is a professional. Absolutely. Very professional. And Eli Grant, what's your opinion of him? He's a good supervisor. Very supportive of his team. Supportive. That's one way to put it. I pulled out my phone. You know, I took some photos of their business dinner tonight. Want to see how supportive he's being? Ashley's face went white. Brian, I don't think I showed them the photos from Meridian. Olivia and Eli holding hands across the table. Eli leaning in to whisper something in her ear. Olivia laughing at something he'd said, her hand resting on his arm. That's some very hands-on supervision, I observed. Janet made a small choking sound. Sarah was staring at the photos with her mouth open. Ashley looked like she was going to be sick. Brian, Ashley said quietly. Let me explain. Explain what? How you've been covering for my wife's affair. How you've been lying to my face for months. How you and your friends have been laughing about what a fool I am. The conversation at nearby tables had stopped. Other patrons were starting to notice the tension in our booth. It's not like that, Ashley protested. Really? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks exactly like that. I raised my voice just enough to ensure our audience could hear clearly. It looks like my wife has been cheating on me with her boss and her friends have been helping her cover it up. Please keep your voice down, Sarah whispered. Why? Afraid people might hear the truth. Monica reappeared with a pitcher of beer and started refilling glasses at nearby tables, moving slowly to catch every word. The truth, I continued, is that Olivia has been having an affair with Eli Grant for months. The truth is that all of you knew about it. The truth is that you've been treating me like a joke while helping my wife destroy our marriage. Ashley was crying now, mascara running down her cheeks. We didn't mean for it to happen this way. How did you mean for it to happen? She was going to tell you eventually when after they got married. After I found out on my own. Or were you planning to keep me in the dark forever? Janet finally found her voice. We thought maybe it would just run its course, that she'd come to her senses. So, you decided to let me live a lie while you waited to see what would happen. We were trying to protect you, Sarah said weakly. Protect me? By helping my wife cheat? By laughing about how clueless I am? That's your idea of protection? The entire bar was listening now. Conversations had stopped and all eyes were on our booth. I could feel the weight of their attention. And I knew this was the moment I'd been building toward. Here's what's going to happen, I said, standing up from the booth. I'm going to Meridian right now. I'm going to walk up to their table and introduce myself to Eli Grant. I'm going to thank him for taking such good care of my wife. Brian, please, Ashley started. And then I'm going to ask him about Jessica Martinez. His girlfriend of 3 years. The one who thinks they're planning a future together while he's busy seducing married women. Ashley's eyes went wide. Jessica? You didn't know about Jessica? How interesting. I wonder what else Eli hasn't told you about his personal life. I pulled out my phone and showed them Jessica's Instagram profile, photos of her and Eli from just days earlier, captions about their relationship and future plans. Looks like everyone's been keeping secrets, I observed. Eli from Jessica, Olivia from me, you from Olivia about what kind of man she's really involved with. Janet was staring at the phone in shock. She has no idea. None, but she will after tonight. I headed toward the exit, leaving the 3 women in stunned silence. Behind me, I could hear the buzz of conversation starting up again as other patrons began discussing what they just witnessed. Monica caught up with me at the door. You sure about this next part? Absolutely. It's time everyone stopped lying to everyone else. What do you want me to do about them? She nodded toward Ashley's table. Nothing. They'll spread the story themselves. By tomorrow morning, everyone at Morrison & Associates will know exactly what kind of man Eli Grant really is. I stepped out into the night air, feeling lighter than I had in months. Phase 1 was complete. Now it was time for the grand finale. Meridian was exactly as I remembered it. Dim lighting, expensive wine, and the kind of atmosphere that made people feel sophisticated while they made terrible decisions. I spotted Olivia and Eli immediately seated at a corner table that provided them with privacy and an excellent view of the restaurant's entrance, which meant they saw me coming. Olivia's face went through a series of expressions: surprise, fear, anger, and finally resignation. Eli looked confused at first, then annoyed as he realized who I must be. Brian, Olivia said as I approached their table. What are you doing here? Having dinner. I hear the food is excellent. I pulled out the empty chair at their table and sat down without being invited. You must be Eli Grant. I'm Brian Keller, Olivia's husband. Eli recovered his composure quickly, extending his hand with practiced corporate charm. Brian? Olivia's told me so much about you. I shook his hand, noting the expensive watch and manicured nails. Funny. She's told me almost nothing about you. But I've learned quite a bit on my own. Brian, this is inappropriate. Olivia hissed. We're in the middle of a business dinner. Are you? Because from the photos I took earlier, it looked more like a romantic date. Eli's smile faltered. Photos? I showed them both my phone, scrolling through the images I'd captured. Their body language, the intimate touches, the way they looked at each other. It was all there in digital clarity. These are quite good, don't you think? Very artistic. The lighting really captures the mood. You followed us here. Olivia's voice was rising, drawing attention from nearby tables. I followed my wife to what she claimed was a business dinner. Imagine my surprise when I discovered it was actually a date. Eli leaned forward trying to regain control of the situation. Brian, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Has there? Because I'm pretty sure I understand perfectly. You're sleeping with my wife and she's been lying to me about it for months. Several nearby diners had stopped eating to listen. The waiter approaching our table hesitated, clearly unsure whether to interrupt or retreat. Please keep your voice down, Eli said through gritted teeth. Why? Worried about your reputation? Speaking of which, how's Jessica? Eli went very still. What? Jessica Martinez, your girlfriend of 3 years, the one who posted photos of you two together yesterday with captions about your future plans. I watched the blood drain from Eli's face as Olivia turned to stare at him. Girlfriend. Olivia's voice was dangerously quiet. Olivia, I can explain. Explain what? That you've been lying to me about being single. We broke up. It's complicated. Complicated? I interrupted, pulling up Jessica's Instagram on my phone. This doesn't look complicated. This looks like a woman who thinks she's in a committed relationship. I showed them both the screen. Photos of Eli and Jessica from the weekend. Captions about apartment hunting and wedding planning. Jessica's most recent post from just hours earlier. Missing my man while he's away on business. Can't wait for him to get home tomorrow. Olivia was staring at the phone like it might explode. You told me you were single. You said you'd never found the right person to settle down with. I was going to break up with her. When? After you got tired of me, too. The waiter finally approached, clearly uncomfortable. Is everything all right here? Perhaps I should. Everything's fine, I said pleasantly. We're just having a family discussion. Could we get another wine glass? I think I'll be staying for dessert. The waiter retreated quickly, probably to alert the manager about the brewing drama at table 12. Eli was trying to salvage the situation. Olivia, you have to understand, Jessica and I have been together for a long time. It's not easy to just end a 3-year relationship, Olivia finished. No, I imagine it's much easier to just cheat on her instead. Like you cheated on me, I added helpfully. Olivia turned her fury on me. Don't you dare take the moral high ground here, Brian. Our marriage has been dead for years. Has it? Because I don't remember having that conversation. I remember you sneaking around behind my back and lying to my face, but I don't remember us actually discussing the state of our marriage. What was I supposed to do? Tell you I was unhappy and listen to you promise to change? Go through months of counseling and false hope? You were supposed to be honest. You were supposed to treat me with enough respect to have a real conversation instead of making me feel crazy for months. Eli was looking back and forth between us like a spectator at a tennis match, clearly realizing that his romantic evening had turned into something much more complicated. "Look," he said, "maybe we should all take a step back." "Should we?" I asked, because I think this is the first honest conversation any of us have had in months. "Olivia, did you know that Eli has a reputation at your company for sleeping with subordinates?" Olivia's eyes narrowed. "What?" "Oh yes, I did some research. 3 women in the past 5 years, all junior employees, all relationships that ended badly for the women involved. You're not his first office romance, Olivia. You're just his latest." Eli stood up abruptly. "I don't have to listen to this." "Actually, you do. Because I'm not finished." I remained seated, forcing him to look down at me. "Jessica deserves to know what kind of man she's planning a future with. Don't you think you wouldn't?" "Wouldn't I? I've already sent her copies of the photos from tonight along with a detailed timeline of your relationship with my wife." That was a lie, but Eli didn't know that. His face went pale. "You're bluffing." I showed him my phone with Jessica's contact information displayed on the screen. "Want to bet your relationship on it?" For a moment, nobody spoke. The restaurant continued around us, but our table had become an island of tension in a sea of uncomfortable silence. Finally, Olivia broke the standoff. "This is insane. All of this, Brian, what do you want? What's the endgame here? I want the truth from both of you. I want you to stop treating me like I'm stupid. And I want you to face the consequences of your choices." "What consequences?" "Well, for starters, everyone at Morrison & Associates is going to know about this by tomorrow morning. Ashley and her friends were very interested in the photos I showed them tonight." Olivia's face went white. "You showed Ashley?" "I showed Ashley, Janet, and Sarah at the Rusty Anchor in front of about 30 other people. They were having such a good time talking about what a fool I am. I thought they'd enjoy seeing the evidence of your affair." "You bastard," Olivia whispered. "I'm the bastard. I'm not the one who's been lying and cheating for months." Eli sat back down heavily. "This is going to destroy my career. Should have thought of that before you decided to sleep with a married subordinate while lying to your girlfriend of 3 years. What do you want from us?" Olivia asked. "Money, the house, what?" "I don't want anything from you, Olivia. I want you to have exactly what you chose. You wanted Eli instead of me. Fine, you can have him. But you can have him honestly in the open with everyone knowing exactly what kind of people you both are." I stood up and threw a $20 bill on the table. "Dinner's on me. I hope you both enjoy the rest of your evening and your relationship, however long it lasts." As I walked away, I could hear them starting to argue behind me. Olivia's voice sharp with betrayal. "You told me you were single." Eli's response defensive and weak. "It's complicated, Olivia. You don't understand." I didn't stay to hear the rest. I had one more stop to make. The drive to Jessica Martinez's apartment took 20 minutes, giving me time to think about what I was going to say. She deserved to know the truth, but I needed to be careful about how I delivered it. Jessica lived in a modern complex downtown, the kind of place young professionals chose when they were building careers and planning futures. I found her apartment and knocked on the door, my heart pounding with nervous energy. She answered, wearing yoga pants and a t-shirt, her hair pulled back in a ponytail. She was prettier than her photo suggested, with kind eyes and an open expression that made what I was about to do feel even more necessary. "Can I help you? Are you Jessica Martinez?" "Yes." "Who are you?" "My name is Brian Keller. I need to talk to you about Eli Grant." Her expression immediately became guarded. "What about Eli? Is he okay?" "He's fine. But there are some things you need to know about what he's been doing while he's been telling you he's working late." I spent the next 30 minutes showing Jessica the photos, explaining the timeline, and watching her world crumble in real time. She cried, she got angry, she asked questions I couldn't answer. But through it all, she listened. And she believed me. "I'm sorry," I said when I finished. "I know this isn't how you wanted to find out." "Thank you," she said quietly. "I needed to know. What will you do?" "I don't know yet, but I won't be planning our wedding anymore." I left Jessica's apartment feeling a mixture of satisfaction and sadness. Satisfaction because the truth was finally out in the open. Sadness because so many people had been hurt by two people's selfish choices. My phone buzzed with a text from Olivia. "We need to talk." I deleted it without responding. We'd done enough talking for one night. By the time I got home, it was nearly midnight. The house felt different somehow. Not like a home anymore, but like a place where I used to live. I sat in my workshop and looked around at all the projects I'd completed. All the improvements I'd made to a life that had been built on lies. Tomorrow would bring lawyers and difficult conversations and the messy business of untangling a marriage. But tonight, for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. My phone rang. "Monica, how did it go?" "Better than I expected." "It's over." "All of it?" "All of it." Olivia knows about Jessica. Jessica knows about Olivia. Eli's career is probably finished. And everyone at Morrison and Associates will know the whole story by lunch tomorrow. And you? How do you feel? I thought about that for a moment. Free. I feel free. Good. You want to come back to the bar? I'll buy you a drink. Thanks. But I think I'll stay home tonight. I have a lot of thinking to do. After I hung up, I sat in the silence of my workshop and planned my next moves. Divorce papers, a new apartment, maybe a change of scenery entirely. For the first time in years, the future felt like something I could control. Olivia came home at 2 a.m., but I didn't go upstairs. I slept in my workshop, surrounded by the tools and projects that had always made sense to me. When I woke up in the morning, I could hear her moving around upstairs, but I didn't go up to talk to her. There was nothing left to say. By noon, my phone was buzzing with calls from numbers I didn't recognize. Word was spreading just as I'd planned. By evening, Eli Grant's name was trending on the Morrison and Associates internal message boards. By the end of the week, he'd been quietly transferred to a different division. Within a month, he'd left the company entirely. Olivia moved out 2 weeks later, taking only her clothes and personal items. She tried to talk to me once, standing in our kitchen with tears in her eyes, but I had nothing to say to her. She'd made her choices, and now she had to live with the consequences. The divorce was finalized 6 months later. I kept the house and most of our assets. Olivia didn't fight it. She was too busy dealing with the wreckage of her reputation and the collapse of her relationship with Eli, which had lasted exactly 3 weeks after our confrontation at Meridian. I heard through Monica that Ashley had been let go from Morrison and Associates for creating a hostile work environment. Apparently, her role in covering up the affair hadn't gone over well with HR once the full story came out. A year later, I sold the house and moved to a smaller town in Vermont, where I started a new construction business and met a woman named Kate who owned a local bookstore. She was honest, kind, and had never heard of Olivia Keller or Eli Grant. Sometimes people ask me if I regret how I handled things that night at Meridian. If I think I went too far or if I should have tried to save my marriage instead of destroying it so publicly, the answer is always the same. I didn't destroy my marriage. I just refused to keep pretending it still existed.